It's time to take a look at what's happening around Wyoming for Thursday, May 29th. I'm Wendy Corr, bringing you headlines from the Cowboy State Daily newsroom, brought to you by the Wyoming Community Foundation, who asks you to give back to the place you call home. 5 to Thrive is your opportunity to leave a legacy for generations to come. Support the community nonprofits that you care about with a gift through the Wyoming Community Foundation. Visit wycf.org to learn more. Some retired and current National Park Service officials claim federal cuts will cause chaos in the parks this summer. However, others, including the person who used to oversee the National Park Service, say that the parks will be just fine. Cowboy State Daily's Mark Hines spoke to Teton County resident Rob Wallace, who was Assistant Secretary of the Interior during the first administration of President Donald Trump. Wallace said things apparently went smoothly at Grand Teton and Yellowstone over Memorial Day weekend, which traditionally kicks off the ramp up to peak summer season.
With everything going on with the federal cuts, staffing cuts, and budget cuts to the Park Service and other federal agencies, there's been some concern. There's a coalition of retired Park Service officials who've put out a warning from their perspective that this could be a pretty bad, even terrible season for visitors in national parks across the country because services could be down. They said you could run into things like long lines, filthy restrooms, garbage not being emptied, things like that. Apparently, we haven't seen that, at least not yet, in Yellowstone and Grand Teton.
The parks rely heavily on seasonal employees to provide many of the basic services to visitors. And so far, that seems to be working. But as the season wears on, some of the seasonal staff will likely start to leave, particularly students who must get back to college. That will put more pressure on the full-time employees at a time when the parks are still very busy. Things are beginning to come into focus for the CK Gold project 20 miles west of Cheyenne. U.S. Gold Corp., which owns the CK Gold project located in Wyoming's old Silver Crown mining district, has its state permits in hand, a local permit process with Laramie County underway, and, as Cowboy State Daily's Renee Jean reports, a gold market that's exciting investors about gold in general.
They're using a very conservative $2,100 an ounce for their feasibility study. They're not relying on top dollar for gold to make this project work. And yet here we are with $3,300 per ounce on the spot market right now. There's a lot of optimism and enthusiasm around this project right now. A New York analyst, for example, is rating them a buy. It's a good time to get in on the act, according to this analyst.
A 2021 study of the asset projects a resource of around 1.01 million ounces of gold and 248 million pounds of copper over a 10-year lifespan. But the potential economic impact of the mine is huge. Estimates are that the project will create 2,600 direct and indirect jobs, as well as $70 to $80 million in taxes and royalties. The lone occupant of a cabin in Teton County was found dead early Wednesday morning after the cabin caught fire. A 911 call came into the Teton County Communications Center at 2:13 a.m. Wednesday reporting the fire, but Cowboy State Daily's Claire McFarland reports that it wasn't until later that someone reported that the cabin was occupied.
Terse details so far. The fire department reporting there was a person inside, person was found dead. A sheriff's deputy tried to go in and the conditions wouldn't permit it. And I called the coroner thinking, okay, maybe I can figure out the age or male, female, that sort of thing. And the coroner, sounding very rushed, said, I don't know. We haven't been let onto the scene to investigate yet.
Overall, 33 fire department members helped with the suppression and no first responders were hurt. The volatile Biscuit Basin in Yellowstone National Park is closed to the public for the summer tourism season as scientists continue to monitor the area after a thermal pool in the basin spectacularly exploded last July. Cowboy State Daily's Andrew Rossi reports that the Yellowstone Volcano Observatory is monitoring the area's potential for more unstable upheavals before allowing people to get up close and personal with Biscuit Basin again.
Since the hydrothermal explosion of Black Diamond Pool back back in July 2024, there have been 2 observed explosions or eruptions in the pool between then and now. The explosion in July was so huge that geologists believe that it might have changed and permanently changed the behavior of the pool itself. These other eruptions weren't as big, but they still sent mud and rocks 30 feet into the air. Until there's a good handle on what Black Diamond Pool is going to be doing in the future, Biscuit Basin is going to stay closed until they get the okay from geologists, and then the National Park Service can put the boardwalk back in.
Biscuit Basin has been closed since July 24th when Black Diamond Pool exploded. Because the thermal feature has continued showing erratic behavior since the explosion, a static webcam was installed so scientists can catch it in the act. And now let's take a look at today's weather with Cowboy State Daily meteorologist Don Day.
As we hit the end of the week and head into the upcoming weekend, all of Wyoming will start to warm up. The warmth will be most noticeable in the western parts of the state as high pressure builds over the Great Basin and desert southwest. That warmer pattern will spread eastward and will really be noticeable out on the eastern plains by Friday and certainly through the weekend as a lot of 70 and even some 80-degree temperatures are coming. Now, for today, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, we're going to see some late-day thunderstorms here and there. Not a lot of them, but a few. Thunderstorm coverage does pick up on Sunday in advance of the next storm system, which will crash our party late Sunday and especially by Monday and Tuesday of next week.
You can get Don's full forecast on the Cowboy State Daily website. I'll be back in just 15 seconds with more news.
They want to know if we received a relay call before.
Yes, go ahead.
We need to have a party catered.
When you receive a relay call, someone who is deaf, hard of hearing, deafblind, or has a speech disability is calling you. It could be the most important call of the day.
The Cheyenne 21-year-old charged with shooting a 16-year-old Casper teen initially told an Natrona County Sheriff's Office investigator that he tripped while playing a game, discharging the gun in a one-in-a-million fluke kind of thing that shot the boy in the head. But Cowboy State Daily's Dale Killingbeck reports that the arrest affidavit for Sebastian Belden tells a different story.
For the affidavit of the young man charged with shooting a 16-year-old on Washington Street here in Casper shows that he initially told police that they were just playing a game and that he had his handgun in his hand and tripped and it went off. But when they interviewed his fiance and 2 minors that were there, they were told that he told them not to tell the police what actually happened. It appears that during the day, they both were playing a game where he would pull out his pistol and point it at the teen's head. And then at some point at around 7 o'clock that night, when he pulled it out and pointed at his head, it went off.
Belden appeared in Casper Circuit Court Tuesday, facing 2 charges of aggravated assault and battery stemming from the Mother's Day shooting that sent the teen first to Banner, Wyoming Medical Center for treatment and then to Children's Hospital, Colorado for extended care. While Flaming Gorge Reservoir might be the place anglers think to go for kokanee salmon in Wyoming, the Pathfinder Reservoir to Miracle Mile stretch along the North Platte River is a lesser-known salmon fishery. The hitch is, according to Outdoors reporter Mark Hines, that anglers who catch them in the river during spawning runs won't be rewarded with a tasty meal.
If you're going to catch them during their spawning runs, the game and fish guy I talked to said use brightly colored lures. You're not trying to elicit a food response from them because they're not really eating at that point. You're trying to elicit what he said is an aggressive strike, so something flashy and colorful. Be prepared if you catch them while they're making those spawning runs, they're probably not going to be very good. He said they're essentially dying. He described them as soft and mushy at that point. If you want to get good eating salmon, catch them this time of year in deep water in the reservoir.
The spawning runs typically last from August until October. During their prime, the kokanee are silver in color and are great eating, but at 3 years old, their urge to spawn drives them back upriver from the reservoir. A former Wheatland band teacher accused of multiple child sex crimes with a teenage girl is expected to be charged with another criminal case involving a second alleged victim. Platte County Deputy Attorney Merrill Bunker Roth told the court during a Wednesday bond reduction hearing that she intends to file a second case against 34-year-old Evan Bradley. Cowboy State Daily's Claire McFarland reports that Bradley remains in jail while the Platte County Attorney's Office prosecutes him on 19 felony-level high-level sex counts that accuse him of committing sex acts against a girl under the age of 16.
He's been in jail much of this year, but he had a bond hearing on Wednesday where he asked the judge, can't you loosen up this bond? His attorney said he has no criminal history. He has ties to the community. He has a job. Bond isn't supposed to punish a guy. It's just supposed to make sure he shows up for court and the community is safe. The prosecutor, during the course of all this, said, well, I'm filing another case against him. Watch out for that. And, that's rare. We don't usually get a glimpse inside a prosecutor's head when she's about to charge someone with something.
The judge refused to reduce the bond amount that's keeping Bradley in jail, but the judge did extend to the man the option to work with a surety bond company if one is willing. Well, some of Wyoming's most accomplished mountain climbers are split on whether using xenon gas to quickly acclimatize to high altitudes is the future of mountaineering, or if it's a performance-enhancing drug for the ultra-wealthy. The debate is reaching a fever pitch in the mountaineering community, with British mountaineers summiting Mount Everest in 4 days last week. To accomplish this feat, Cowboy State Daily's Andrew Rossi reports that they carried that secret weapon.
4 British mountaineers climbed Mount Everest up and down in 3 days, and they said the secret to their success was xenon gas. Xenon gas is believed to increase the body's resistance to low oxygen environments. Speaking to Wyoming mountaineers who have climbed Everest, the response is mixed. On the one hand, it's a life-saving measure. If it's a means of getting up to these summits quicker and safer by preserving the body's integrity and preventing the risk of serious conditions that can manifest as a result of high altitude, low oxygen environments, it's a great thing. On the other hand, it's been called a performance-enhancing drug, and that it takes away the sport of mountaineering, that it's a shortcut in and of itself, and if you need it to get to where you want to go, then you're not mountaineering and you have no business mountaineering in the first place.
Now that xenon as a mountaineering tool has been thrust into the international spotlight, the discourse is more intense than ever. Climbers in Wyoming may be on opposite sides of the debate, but their conclusion is the same. There will be more and more people climbing Everest. And that's today's news. Get your free digital subscription to Wyoming's only statewide newspaper by clicking on the daily newsletter button on cowboystatedaily.com. And you can watch this newscast every day by clicking subscribe on our YouTube channel, or you can listen to us on your favorite podcast app. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Wendy Corr for Cowboy State Daily.